Hi, welcome to Psychology Today. I'm your host, Ann Morrow. Psychology Today is a show about bicycling in general and specifically about bicycle safety. Thank you for joining us. And thank you to our crew who's hidden out in the control booth there doing I don't know quite what, but without them we would not have a show. So we really appreciate all their efforts, and thank you to Northwest Bicycle Safety Council for producing our show. We have two guests for this show. We have Theron Thompson from the Beaverton Bike Gallery. He's going to talk to us about what I call accessories for bicycling, some of the odds and ends that you might stick on your bicycle or carry with you when you ride. And you've probably been in bike shops and they've got a lot of things in there other than bicycles. What is some of that stuff and do you need it? So Theron's going to help us sort that out. And we also have Joe Kurmaskie, who is also known as the Metal Cowboy. And he's here to discuss riding with kids. Joe does have 4 kids of his own, so he's got that insight. He once was a kid himself, and some people I think would say he still is a kid. So he's going to give us some insight on how to ride bikes with kids. I want to thank all of you who have been signing up for our Beaverton Banks and Beyond Bicycle Tour. That's coming up on August 24th. It's not too late to sign up, and of course you can come down the morning of and sign up then. We've been working really hard and we're anxious to have you as guests at our event, and we've really got some great things lined up for you. It's a real versatile and beautiful route, so if you're having a good day you can actually extend the route as you're riding along. If you're having a good time and you get up to Stubbs Stewart State Park, you can go on to Vernonia if that suits you, or if you're having a bad day you can stop at Stubbs Stewart and turn around and come back. So it's really versatile that way, and so whatever your skill level, come on out and give it a try and see what works for you on August 24th. You can purchase one of these great jerseys. These were the pre-orders, and that order has been filled. So it's kind of, Bruce is calling it a forever jersey, in that it doesn't have the year on it. It doesn't say 2013. If you get it, you can wear it forever. And it's got our sponsors on those back pockets, and they all are going to have riders involved in the ride as well. And it's just a beautiful, very visible, classy jersey, and we're really proud of it. So you can go and order one of those through our website as well, and they won't be available till November. So think about gift giving. Maybe somebody's got a birthday later in the year, or maybe those holidays, a great gift for one of your bicycle riding friends. So let's meet our first guest. We've got Theron Thompson from the Beaverton Bike Gallery. Welcome.
Thank you. Nice to be back.
And he's been a guest before, and so we really like having our crew from Bike Gallery because they are a partner with us here locally in a lot of the things we do. Let's learn a little bit about Theron first, and then we'll talk about some things that you might need for your bicycle rides. Theron, why don't you, I know you've been here before, but tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I started riding as a young kid, like a lot of people, as a teen, and my first bike was a Schwinn, and did a lot of riding just around Beaverton. Grew up in Beaverton. I would ride out to my grandma's house quite often out in King City. Sometimes even just stretch it out if my parents weren't aware, and stretch it out. I went all the way to McMinnville and back.
Wow.
One time, which was great on this big heavy Continental. Had a Raleigh 3-speed in college, and then during the course of my life changed slowly more toward just road riding, doing longer rides, being a long distance runner in high school and college. I'm built for it. You know, a lot of slow twitch muscle, very lean. I may not be fast, but I can ride a long time. And so I love rides like the one you've got coming up. It's perfect for a rider like me.
Yes, yes. Well, great. And what's your favorite ride this summer? What kind of rides are you doing this summer? I know you're really busy at work, but
yeah, I know.
Hopefully you get a couple of minutes to ride.
I do. I have a little bit of time to ride, and you know, they've been pretty short. And so what I try to do is get more hills in, so I can I can get a more intense style of workout. So what I'll do is I'll ride from my house in Garden Home and down, for instance, let's say Barber Boulevard, and then out over the top of Mount Tabor. Then I just scoot across and I go over the top of Rocky Butte, and then straight back downtown over, kind of up through the zoo, and over the top of the zoo to Skyline, and then back down into downtown Beaverton, then on Hall back to my home. And it's about 36 miles with evenly divided between level and incline. So it really does a lot to keep me in shape, but it does take a lot out of a skinny guy like me because I'm not built powerfully. So I do a lot of spinning, a lot of low gears on those hills, and just take my time.
Well, that's good information for some of our viewers, I'm sure, that when you're limited on time, just make it a little bit harder workout to get the results you want.
Absolutely, intensity. Absolutely.
Yeah. Now, like I said, the bike gallery is involved with our Beaverton Banks and Beyond. We're going to have some bike gallery people out to help us on our event ride. Tell us how bike gallery gets involved with some of these events.
Part of the bike gallery mission, and our former owner Jake Grace will say its primary purpose is to get more people on bikes more often. And that doesn't mean just take great rides like the one that you're sponsoring. It also means just get on the bike and go to the grocery store. Get on the bike and ride with your children. So when he means more often, he just means try it for a number of different uses. And so we stay involved, even though now we're a slightly bigger company, merging with one from San Diego and 4 superstores there. Our primary brand is centered around the family and all the riders in the family. So we want to go to events like this, like Sunday Parkways and Cycle Oregon, to make sure we're supporting the 6 and 7-year-old who he or she may be on their first multi-speed bike, their first handbrake bike. We have to support that child, him or her, the same way we do someone, my age, at 52, with bone spurs and needs a triple, chain ring up front. We're there for the whole family. So that's why we support these rides.
Well, it's great. And we really appreciate that, because oftentimes, even if people do really well at maintaining their bike, darn it, something goes wrong on a ride, and there's somebody there to help get them back on the road. And sometimes people don't take such good care, and it helps to have a professional there to help out. So
absolutely. We
really appreciate our bike mechanics. So let's talk about some of the wonderful stuff, and you brought some samples that we can find at a bike store. And when we go in to buy a bike, that's very exciting, but we need some other stuff often to make for a successful ride. Let's start with the helmet, and tell us a little bit about what to look for when we're going to purchase a helmet.
The helmets we advocate wearing a helmet at all times. And so we want you to buy a helmet. At times we'll discount a helmet, just because to make it so easy for somebody to get one and wear it properly. And I think what's important about a helmet and its proper fit is simply make sure that side to side it's comfortable. That's what's going to be most important. Most of your blows when you fall are up to here. So you have a slightly upward glancing blow. So if it fits well side to side, and then these straps are doing their job. And part of what a strap will do, and I can illustrate with my fingers, is they fit like this, right? So these straps will hold you if the blow goes up or if the blow comes from the side. So make sure it fits well here, and then in the back, always make sure that you have, using this retention system, just make sure it's snug. It doesn't have to be tight.
Yeah. Headache inducing.
Absolutely. Just make sure that it's snug, and then again, wear it in the proper spot, which would mean probably, I would say, just about here on your brow. I tell children, if you can look up, and see your fingers, then your helmet's in the right spot. If it's tilted up, which a lot of younger children will do, that upward glancing blow really would expose your forehead to impact, as opposed to if you just wore it properly. And then it's up to you to decide, do you want a rain or a sun visor? That's totally up to you. I wear glasses, and I have to, so a visor really helps in mist and rain.
Oh, sure. Now, if I walk into a bike store looking for a helmet, are they all going to be approved to the standards, the legal standards? Do I really need to read all the fine print? Is there a danger that I would buy a helmet that isn't even approved?
No, there's no danger. Absolutely not. They all have to pass the same standards. And there's lots of fine print, and it's in about 7 different languages.
Yes.
So go ahead and read it if you want. However, since they all do pass the same standards, the difference, generally what you're going to find in cost, is in the material and in the venting. So a lower cost helmet might be slightly heavier. It may not have as many vents, or it may not have vents placed in such a way where they'll get the heat away from your head very quickly. Someone like, I do ride warm. I ride very warm. So I need a helmet that's not only lighter weight, but something that really moves air through or underneath the helmet, and then also between the helmet and my head. Some helmets will do that. Specialized has a couple that will bring the air in and move it over your scalp, underneath the helmet, and then out the back. Other helmets want you to heat up, and then they say we take the heat away as it escapes the best. So for someone like me who rides very warm, I need to get air between my head and the helmet. And so the cost goes up as you look for features like that.
Yeah.
Bigger vents, super lightweight. It's not at all uncommon to find a $200 helmet that will fit you perfect and will look great. However, a $34.99 helmet works great for just about everybody.
Now, I've found that some brands might fit somebody's head. You know, we all have different shaped heads. That sometimes moving from brand to brand helps with the fit. Do you find that to be true with your customers?
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. Giro makes 2 helmets called an indicator and a transfer, and I'm really impressed with the way they will fit comfortably on different types of heads. You know, or heads that might be a little bumpy maybe on one side, or maybe you have maybe a little ridge. That those 2 helmets at a really reasonable price, less than maybe one trip to the ATM, fit just about everybody really, really well. And then again, like a Specialized helmet, for someone like me, it sits up a little bit higher, but it's narrow from side to side, so it moves that air, right over my scalp quickly. So, you just determine your needs and then comfort.
Yeah.
And then pick the right brand. And you should try on a lot of brands.
Yes, to get, especially when you're starting out, so that you figure it all out.
Yeah, we want you want to wear it, so it better be comfortable.
Yeah.
And I think the price really is irrelevant.
It really is. It's your brain,
get it on your
all.
head. Yeah, you might only get one chance.
Now, let's see, you've got some other things here. Let's talk about that. You've got a lock. And so you encourage everyone to get a lock? We're investing a lot of money in a bicycle, so you probably want to keep it around.
Yes. Now, a lock, this is a U-lock, and this is by the company called Kryptonite. And they cleverly named it a U-lock because it's shaped like a big U.
Yeah.
And this one also happens to be a set where it includes a cable.
Okay, I haven't seen that before. Why do they do that?
Well, the idea with U-lock is that it can go through the frame and the rear wheel. So that keeps those 2 things together and makes it extremely difficult to steal. Now, if you don't want to take off your front wheel and attach it with the other 2 pieces, you can use the cable and run it through. A thief wants as much of your bike as he or she can take. A front wheel doesn't get him or her much.
Yeah.
But a really nice frame or a beautiful rear wheel with derailleur would.
Yeah.
So lock that first, lock it to something, and then use the cable to reach through the frame and pull your front wheel together with the rest of it.
I see.
This set is something that we sell a lot to college students. Just giving them the easiest thing they can because they're in a hurry. College is a new environment, and we'll tell them, even if you just have to use the cable and the U-lock as its padlock, just use it. Do anything you can, but use a lock. And we actually had to saw through one of these in our store one time.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we lost the key. It's a bunch of guys, so yeah, so we lost the key and we timed it, and it took 2 guys, 2 broken hacksaw blades, 20 minutes to cut through one, just spelling each other every couple of minutes without a break. They just kept switching and switching, and then they did make it through after 20 minutes.
Wow.
So it works.
So yes, yeah, and that's exactly what you want, because somebody's going to notice that. So and there's lots of different kinds of locks.
Oh yes, U-lock is just one type.
And I think great for, like you're saying, if you're in college or you're leaving your bike somewhere for a period of time, that's just going to deter them.
Yes, and deterrence is important.
Yeah, just kind of stop them. So that's a great investment for your new asset, the bicycle.
Absolutely.
Now you've brought a water bottle, and it's hot right now, and we need to keep hydrated. But water is important all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. There are some riders who will ride with water bottles. Most bikes will come with a minimum of 1 or 2 what they call bosses, sets of bosses. Those are little tiny bolts that the bottle cage goes on. So being a person, as I said, who runs warmer during exercise, I always use 2 bottles. So I carry 2 bottles of water, and I sip a lot. I've found that for me, constantly sipping every few minutes keeps me hydrated much better than an extended period of time of exertion, and then big gulps.
Yeah.
It just doesn't really do it. And as an endurance athlete, it's far easier for me. So, and occasionally I'll have 1 bottle of my water, just pure water, and then the second one I'll just go ahead maybe and draw a big X on the front, on each side, so I can see it easily if they get mixed up. And then one that's marked with an X is something I'll have half electrolyte in and then half normal water. Because you do need to have some electrolytes, and you do need to eat. So hydration is very important.
And you said that you might have to install cages on your new bike.
Yep.
And those come in various styles and materials.
Yes, ma'am.
And prices then.
Yeah, an aluminum cage can cost as little as $6, $7, $8, $99. And they're great because they're very flexible. Some of the water bottles now are getting longer. They're getting wider with insulation. And then you can move up to something that might be $20 or $25 made out of a high-impact plastic or a resin. And I've seen $80 carbon water bottle cages, and they're beautiful. It's the most beautiful $80 water bottle cage you've ever seen.
So you could really cover the spectrum of prices.
And its weight.
Yeah.
Again, just like a helmet. That carbon cage is going to weigh about 18 grams.
Oh wow.
It's very little. It's feather light. And they are beautiful. I just don't have one.
Nor do I. And so we've kind of taken care of ourselves, but there's the inevitable possibility of a flat tire. And you've brought some things to help us figure out what to do there. So a rider should always be prepared that you are going to have a flat and be ready to deal with that. What have you brought with us to show us?
Well, I thought I'd start with something that's pretty simple. This is what's called a flat pack. And most riders I know will have some or all of the pieces included into this pack. So this is a seat bag, and it goes right on these 2 little straps, hook on the saddle rails. The nose goes under the saddle and attaches to the seat post. So you'll see these nice little wedge bags sitting there.
Almost invisible. Right. It's so under the seat.
Yep, it's great. And this is a medium size. So the nice part about it is that you can't put your phone in it, so you don't have to take it with you. It has tire levers. Now these tire levers are used to take off the tire. That's their sole purpose. They don't do anything else. They'll just, You just take the little tiny ridge and then pop it under there. We used to use screwdrivers when I was a kid and get flats and bend our rims.
Oh, wow, I guess so.
We were young. Then that's how you strip off the tire. And then you can pull out the flat tube after that. So really important. This tool is an Allen key or small Allen wrench set.
Oh, sure.
Because just about everything on your bike has Allen bolts. So easy to use. Now, the other thing you can put inside your flat pack, besides these levers, which help you get off the tires, not coming off unless you have them.
Yeah.
And then if you have to use or remove something, you have your Allen key. The other thing you should have in there are those patches. So this small box of patches will sit right inside there. And there's glue and very small little rubber adhesive patches. And so the two glues will actually sort of combine to just make an incredible bond.
Yeah.
And there's a little piece of sandpaper if you have to scuff up the rubber a bit to get that glue to stick. So levers for the tire, this patches the bad tube, the dead tube, and that fits right in there. And then lastly, I would probably always recommend carrying a tube, an extra tube, because there are times, my last flat was last year, and it was pouring down rain, and I wasn't going to sit and look for a tiny little pinhole.
Right.
So I just simply grabbed the tube that sits inside here, replaced the bad one, stuffed the bad one in my pocket, and figured I'll just repair it when I get home.
In the comfort of your dry home.
Yes, ma'am. And the interesting thing about tubes, and this is one thing that a lot of people forget or they need to learn, is that when you buy a tube, for instance, this says 700 times 28 to 32. And the mystery of that is very simple. That most road bikes are 700 size wheels, and this will fit a tire that's 28 millimeters, or 29 or 30 or 31 or 32.
Okay.
So if you look at the side of your tire and you know you're riding a road bike, it's a 700, and you've got 28s on there, you can just come in and say, yeah, this fits between a 28 and 32, and put it right in. It makes shopping easy.
Yeah.
But all those numbers look complicated, and it's just not.
And usually they're very organized in the store. So if you've just got a clue of what you're looking for, it's not that hard.
Correct. And one thing I do as well when I help people prepare a flat pack is that I will take the side of the box, because it also has this, and we powder our tubes. We'll take the tube out of the box and put it in a small bag and sprinkle some talcum powder in there and shake it up, because then the tube is coated with that powder and it becomes like a dry lubricant. And it keeps the tube from sticking on the inside. And that actually, believe it or not, that decreases the number of what are called pinch flats.
Okay.
So when the tube is all powdered, we roll it up in a little plastic bag, and then we tear off the piece that's the end of the box, and we wrap that in with your brand new tube, so that when you do use it, you can take this little piece back to the store with you and say, this is what I need.
Idiot proof, yes.
That's right.
And then you've got, this comes with a little pump as well.
Yes,
to get everything going again.
Yep, this is a very small pump. It's called a frame pump. It's called a frame pump because it has this small little bracket right here, and that bracket attaches to the water bottle cage bosses.
Right.
And it keeps the pump out of your way. And this pump will attach directly to the valve, and then this is the handle. This will extend about 8 inches, and that's how you inflate.
Yeah.
Every time you pull and push back in, the pump just will force air into the tube. This is a very small one, so it does take a lot of work.
Yeah.
I carry CO2 cartridges, and CO2 cartridges are very, very small. A CO2 cartridge might be only as large as your thumb, and it comes with a very small little valve, and you thread that valve on, and then put the whole cartridge on top of your inner tube valve, and open it up, and like this, it's about 100 pounds of pressure.
Nice.
It's amazing. It's great. It's the perfect guy thing because we're not patient. So I carry two.
Both,
I carry two of those. I don't carry a pump.
You don't carry a pump?
I don't. I use CO2, so I carry 2 cartridges, and the small valve, and a tube and tire levers.
But everybody says, what if you have a really bad day and you have a lot of flat tires?
Yes, they do, and that happens. It did happen one time, and I got a flat, and I repaired it, and that was one cartridge, and I went down again, and that was a second cartridge, and after that, I just quit. That's just it. And I was close enough. I just called a cab.
Oh, really?
So
okay,
maybe I should
there
have had a pump. Maybe I should have had a pump. But I love cartridges.
Yeah.
But that's once in 3 years.
Okay. So
And I
that's
probably put the cab driver's son through college with that cab ride.
well, a lot of times you might be riding with people that might be able to help too.
Absolutely. Somebody always has a pump.
And you know, we'll all. I think good bicyclists, we all share our stuff. Invariably,
Yeah.
as we go by people, we ask, "You got everything you need?"
Correct.
In case they did, you know. So we'll help.
Oh, always. And we stop as Bike Gallery employees. I carry 2 tubes now. Because invariably, once or twice a month, there's somebody that just doesn't know how to do it. And you ride along and you ask them and you say, you got everything, and they give you that look.
Yeah.
And you know. So I change their flat, and I give them a business card, and I just say, come by the store sometime, we'll show you how to do this. And we all do it, and there's a lot of us out there.
Yeah.
There's probably 60 employees, and I'll bet you every one of us changes a flat about once a month.
I bet that's true. Yeah.
That's our job.
That's neat. That's neat to know. Let's see. So we've got a light kit, and those are important. Even if you aren't a commuter and maybe getting out in the dark, lights are important here. And it's beautiful and sunny right now, but in the gray weather.
Yes, in the gray weather, absolutely. They can get pretty bright. The nice thing about almost every light set nowadays is that they're getting brighter and brighter. The technology for lights is better all the time. And batteries are starting to last longer. It's really nice. I ride with both a rear and a front, no matter what. I don't always use my rear in full daylight, but I do use my front in rear daylight on a blinking mode. So if I turn it on against my shirt, I don't know if you can see, but it does rapidly blink.
Yeah.
And a car will see that. A driver for the car will look out of the corner of their eye. They're more likely to see that in full daylight than just a static light.
Yeah.
So we do encourage people, if you've got a front light, use it at all, whenever you can, if you're in a high traffic environment, and use it on a blinking setting. And then at night, use whatever setting you can just to be visible.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And light sets aren't very expensive anymore.
They're not, yeah.
A mid-price set could be $40, but you could also find a very inexpensive set nowadays for $14 or $15 just about anywhere.
And there's lots of different varieties, and you can buy them in sets like that one, or individual, and commuters can really get a lot of different lighting for their bikes and their jackets and things.
And with commuters, you're seeing more and more they're buying light sets that are USB chargeable.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
More than half of our inventory of our lights are USB chargeable now, because they just leave their charger plugged into their PC at work.
Oh, yeah, nice. And then they're good to go again in the evening.
Absolutely.
Nice. Let's just talk briefly. We're kind of running a little bit low on time, but you did bring this bag, but they come in all sizes, don't they? I mean, you said this is a medium.
It's a medium saddle bag, yes. So it goes right underneath the saddle.
But I mean, like I have a trunk kind of thing that sits on a rack.
Yep.
And so they just come in all various sizes, depending on your style and what you want to carry. if you're a racer wanting speed, maybe this might be even big, this medium size.
Absolutely. Yeah, you should see an extra small. I'm not sure what goes into extra small. I think it's a Snickers bar. I really do. I do have a rack on my bike as well, on my commuter bike. And I have two. I have a high visibility yellow one that I use on just those horrible rainy days. And then I've got one that's just a little bit larger. It's black and gray like a lot of these products are. But they're having a big trunk bag on your rear rack. It's great.
Yeah.
You can put shoes in there, or you can stop and grab groceries. Some of the trunk bags now have sides where they'll unzip, and then a side pannier or bag will roll out.
So for commuters,
awesome.
or like you're saying, picking things up at the store, or I'm a person that, in the morning I've got a lot of layers, and taking layers off, then what do you do with them? You need some place to stuff them. So.
Yes, and in rain, I have an Ortley waterproof handlebar bag. And if the weather is really, really bad, I'll carry, in that front handlebar bag, I'll carry another pair of gloves. So I could stop quickly and pop it open, and they open away from you, and you can just reach in and pull out your next set.
Nice.
Or if you're just wearing wind gloves and it's getting too cold, you can put them in there. And handlebar bags, they're getting smaller and better all the time.
Yeah.
And they're out of your way.
And they're so convenient for road riding and having
Absolutely.
a map or just things convenient, a camera, your phone, those sorts of things.
Almost all of them have that clear top pocket
for
the camera, the phone, or a map. So you're right, absolutely.
So we've kind of covered a lot of the essentials, and there is a store full of things that eventually you might need, but these are kind of the basics we've talked about. So thanks a lot for coming to help us understand a little more, and we can go into the bike shop with a little more knowledge and knowing what we want. And certainly all of these things, particularly the helmet and an ability to fix a flat tire, are absolutely essential to get going. To get going and keep going. Yes, and keep going.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, thanks again for joining us, and we'll be seeing somebody from the Bike Gallery out on Beaverton Banks and beyond on August 24th.
Yes, she will. We'll have a crew there, absolutely.
Great. Thanks for being a partner with us.
Thanks.
And so we look forward to seeing you at Beaverton Banks and beyond. Let's watch a quick video about that to just entice you to come out and join us on August 24th. Well, welcome back to the second segment of our show, and we've got Joe Kurmaskie, who's also known as the Metal Cowboy. And Joe is an author and the father of four boys and an entrepreneur, and I'm sure if we asked him, the father of four boys would be on the top of the list and the most important thing of all his endeavors. And we've had Joe as a guest before, talking to us about some of his adventures and his books, and sharing some of his tales. And I'd encourage you to look into his books if you haven't read them yet. They're very entertaining. And I want to welcome you back to Psychology Today.
It's great to be back.
Joe. Yeah, it's been a little while. And we're
couple adventures under the belt since then.
Yes, yes. And so we're going to talk just briefly about those adventures, but our thrust for the conversation is going to be riding with kids.
Which I do plenty of.
So tell us briefly about what you're up to like this summer and your current activities.
Well, we're just we're having one of those great life work balance summers with the kids. You mentioned 4. They're not just 4 kids; they're 4 boys.
Yes, good
so
point.
they're building statues to me in China somewhere, and we just have a great time. It's a very lively house, and we do almost everything by bicycle. We have a minivan that we use for trips and the occasional dropping a kid off at skate camp. But I bike everywhere. My wife bikes. She's a school teacher, so she bikes to school. And so we have several different bikes that the kids will ride with us, and we interchange those because I'm 6'1", she's 5'11", so it's really easy for us to pit stop and trade off bikes for the kids.
Oh, convenient.
Yeah, and they ride with us everywhere. The older boys ride their own bikes, but the younger boys ride right on the cargo bike with us.
Okay. Yeah, that's, boy, you will get into a little bit about how you've set things up. What kinds of, do you get to ride on your own? Do you?
I do. Here's the thing. I don't get to go off with the Selwood Bike Club or all kinds of, romanticized, solid rides by myself. Mm-hmm. But you know my history. I've done 150,000 plus miles of adventures all over the globe. So at this point, what I've signed up for is to be a dad,
right,
as much as when I'm not working. And I've got a really nice setup because I work at home, and mm-hmm. I have, as a writer, I have that's sort of flexible, and then I own a bike bag company, which you know about, Arkell. Mm-hmm. And so I'm at home and I get to make my own hours. Work's got to get done, but that allows me to really spend a lot of time with the kids. And so, no, I don't get to go off on my bike by myself too often, but I ride the heck out of that bike even with the kids on it. So Springwater Corridor, everywhere we go, we're on bike basically, so I'm getting in the miles. So even though I'm not training, mm-hmm. I'm not like riding full out, I stay pretty close to year round, in pretty good shape because, maybe 80% of what I want to be at my fighting trim.
Well, and I think that's true for a lot of people with families, that maybe as a very young person you're riding, you have kids, and that changes everything.
It does change it.
But they have activities.
But it doesn't have to. Too many people out there think that, well, I've had kids now I have to let go of my cycling. Or anything, whether it's walking or all they become sedentary, and they take years off their life, and they miss out on so much. The kids love it. We've got the cargo bike all set up so that it's an extra cycle. We can get into that if you've got an order of things.
Let's talk about your family dynamics first, so we can all kind of visualize what all you're working with. You mentioned your wife, but tell us about the ages of these 4 boys.
Well, as of this week, they've all had birthdays this summer. We have birthdays from March through August in our family, and everybody gets their own birthday month. But I have a 15-year-old, a 13-year-old, now 7, just turned 7, and 3.5-year-old. Okay. So we have 2 sets. I like to call it the 10-2 split in bowling. It's impossible to be picking it all up at once. Yeah. You're lucky if you've got 2 of them on mark at any one time. But what's nice is one of my sons is having one of those kind of, if you've ever seen the show The Middle, he's having mm-hmm. one of those Axel summers. He's flying around his boxer shorts, reading Tolstoy and Catcher in the Rye, and like a palate cleanser, he'll read some Christopher Buckley books. So he's having a real intellectual summer at home. And he still gets out and about. Sure. And then I have a totally, on the other side, my 13-year-old is just been selected for a skateboard team here in Portland, and so he just skates 10 hours a day, and he's at the Commonwealth Skate Park, and he's real serious about it. So. He'll hang on my bike sometimes with his skateboard as we go along. Okay. But so I'm riding the 7-year-old and the 3-year-old around. Right. And it's a blast. They love it. We've got one of those horns, the 76 Union or gas station gave us a little horn buzzer, and my youngest will ring it, and as we're riding along, he'll tell pedestrians, "On your left." And he really does. It's his cutest little voice, "On your left." So we're training him young.
Yeah, it sounds like he knows a lot more than some of the adults.
He does know more than the adults. It's hilarious. He does it properly. My favorite story, though, is when we're in the minivan driving, to Lacamas Park or somewhere farther away for a weekend trip, and we pass a car. He'll say, "On your left," from his car seat.
Yeah. I find myself wanting to do that too, or signal with my hands.
Right.
Point something out.
So you're still halfway between the worlds of the car and the bike.
Try not to
funny.
Drive in the bike lane.
That's right. We hope.
Now, you've done some epic adventures with your kids when they're at various ages and
I have.
and that sort of thing. So briefly tell us about those to kind of help us
Well,
understand.
solo on my own, I've ridden Maine to Florida 7 times across the United States, 3 times across Canada, South America, Australia, New Zealand, parts of Europe. I've been treed by geese in New Hampshire and hit by the smallest car in Ireland and lost all my possessions in a darts game in Australia. I think I told that story the last time we were here. And so then, and the bike's been good to me. I met my wife on the bike. And once we had kids, we didn't want the adventures to end. So, fortunately I wrote for magazines that allowed me to do lots of bike adventures. But the big trips with the kids were, we went across America with my dad's ashes and my 2 boys that are now the older boys.
Right.
And then we took everybody, at the time,
Yes.
all 3 boys. Mateo was 1 year old at the time, and Beth, he was nursing and diapers and everything. And we took him on a long bike train of a rig.
And describe that.
Well, it started out as a triple tandem bike trailer. It was larger, 18.5 feet long. And then Beth, she says she voluntarily got off. I say I put her on a touring bike, but that's how the book goes.
Right.
He said she questions my maturity and my veracity on every page. But she had her own one of my touring bikes, all loaded down with the Arkel bags, and then we had my oldest son putting hours of riding in on the tandem, and then the middle son on the trailer bike at the time, and then the littlest one in the trailer. And I hauled all of that.
Yes.
500 pounds of lightsabers and fishing poles and gear up and down the Canadian Rockies out to the other side of Canada.
So having laid that groundwork, tell us about your thought process in planning this trip for your children. It wasn't just I want to do this and you're coming along. You put a lot of thought into this because they had a lot of fun.
Well, yeah. Well, I'd been a summer camp director earlier in my life,
okay.
So the planning was all there. It's like Picasso when they say I'm not comparing myself to Picasso, but when people would come up to Picasso and say, "Well, it only took you 20 minutes to draw that. Why should I pay what you're asking?" He says, "Well, it took me 45 years of living to get to where I can draw that." I'd done so much biking and so much travel adventure and Knowles instructor and Outward Bound and just biking around the globe. So the planning didn't take as long, but the thought of what we wanted to do, I wanted to make it a rolling summer camp on wheels. Whether it was lightsabers or picking watermelons or canning peaches or playing in playgrounds or bungee jumping or whatever it was along the way, we never missed an opportunity to stop and smell the roses or get the poison ivy.
Yeah, and that's made clear in your book. So it wasn't about the miles.
No, it was about the people we met
about,
and the adventures we had.
The journey.
And we met all kinds of characters, and we sort of opened ourselves to the world to, when you get outside of your zip code and you get outside of the news of it bleeds, it leads, most of the world's a pretty good place out there. And what we've done is we've scared ourselves into our houses. We've scared ourselves into our hermetically sealed lives, and it's our loss.
Yeah.
It really is.
There are an awful lot of nice people out there.
Exactly.
Especially if you're on a bicycle.
Oh, and anybody who sees a bike, it's like a time machine. I mean, everybody's 12 years old.
Yes. Yeah.
And you're not a tourist, you're a traveler when you're on the bike.
So let's talk about day-to-day riding. That's kind of the big epic journey. Day-to-day, you talk about you do own a car for some things.
We own one car for 6 of us. I feel like we're doing our part, and we drive it. Sometimes there's cobwebs on it. It's nice, you know. We drive it. We fill it up maybe once, 1.5 times a month.
So can you get everybody in all the bikes if you want to go someplace?
Yeah, I can put everything in the minivan, but a lot of times we don't.
Yeah.
We'll go out and camp, bike camp out to Oxbow or Shampooey or just, you know, trucking around town. Portland in the summer is just such a great place to be a kid and to be a parent, because there's so many activities, the free concerts, the swimming pools, the water slide at Brooklyn. You know, they put a slip and slide down the hill at Brooklyn Park on Wednesday evenings.
I did not know that.
Yeah, so we just do all of these great things by bike. And we've got I actually have a guy's dad's club now. It's called Papa Wheelies. And when we roll up to OMSI with, like, you know, 15 cargo bikes and 20 kids, and it's all dads that are, you know, entrepreneurs or stay-at-homes or, you know, a mix of all of that. We take over the joint. It's great. And we'll roll along, and, you know, almost looks like a motorcycle gang, but a bike gang. And everybody's got their different bikes. You know, you have your Madisons and your Cargos and your Bach Feets and your Extra Cycles. All these different, you know, versions of what just seems normal in Portland to me now. They call them SUBs, you know, sport utility bikes. You know, instead of, you know, carting the family around in some 3,000-pound, you know, combustion engine thing, you're rolling in this sort of SUB, you know, sport utility bike, and it's fun. And all the kids talk to each other as we ride along the Springwater Corridor or what have you. We stop and see the ponds with watch the tadpoles grow into frogs over the period of time, and
whatever there is to see at any given place.
And it's a community, just like any other community, and we have fun with it, so we call it Papa Wheelies. And I'll tell you one thing, though, when we end up at the Rhododendron Gardens, anybody looking for solitude or wedding pictures needs to just clear out. Because we're releasing the house. We release, you know, the 20 or so 3 to 7 to 10-year-olds. It's just insane.
Now, how did your kids transition? You had initially in a trailer when they were really little to what, like a tag-along?
A tag-along.
And you had a tandem?
And we have the tandem, and we have the cargo bikes now, and we still have the trailer bike and the tandem. I mean, and all of those.
Okay.
So sometimes, like, if we're going to go on a longer camping trip, we'll have one of them on the cargo and one of them on the trailer bike that wants to pedal, and then we'll have a lot of the gear in the trailer. So
you still set up the big long?
Oh yeah, I still have the long train. I'm still known.
Well, how else?
Right. I mean, you know, I'm not Catholic or Mormon. I'm just having a good time. I have all these kids, so I'm in for a dime, in for a dollar. I gotta, you know, the only person that beats me in this town is Emily Finch. She's got the 5 kids.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
And she has that big cargo. So, but I have more length, I tell her.
Yeah.
You know. So anyway, it's fun. We get out there and we ride, and you know, I'm a freak show somewhere else, but in Portland.
Yeah.
I mean, I was a freak show years ago, but you know, now the world's caught up to me, at least here.
Yeah, it really has.
Because I'll tell you a quick story. About 10 years ago, Quinn was probably 4, getting ready to start preschool, and I had the trailer and him on a bike, and it was raining because it's Portland, and I've got an easel and I've got a bunch of stuff I'm donating to the preschool, and so it does look a little Sanford and Son, you know. I'm rolling along, and I admit that, you know, as a professional writer, maybe my hygiene, I was wearing what I considered pants, but they were pajamas. Maybe, perhaps plaid, so they looked and maybe I had 5 or 6 days of shadow, and so we're at a stoplight, and we're not too far from the preschool, and this woman pulls up in her real SUV, and God, I love her, sweetheart. She rolls down the window. I can hear the classical music, and she passes out this bag of clothes, and she said, would you rather have the clothes or money? And you've known me, and I'm not very rarely am I speechless. But I because she just didn't see this. I guess 10 years ago, they were pedaling all along to get to school for the kids, and I just had that. She goes, "Oh, I've offended you. Take both." And so she got a $20 bill on top, and I take this bag. I don't know what else to say. I put it in the trailer, and she drives away, and windshield wipers, and the window goes up, and so we go to school, and we donate the clothes to Goodwill, and we bring the easel, and I say to Quinn, I said, "I guess it's French toast and ice cream today." So years ago I was a freak show. Now I'm just a dad rolling up to the school with all the other moms and dads on their bikes, and that's what's nice too at our elementary school. I'm just one of 20 or 30 people that ride. Now in the dead of winter, I'm one of 4 or 5.
Yeah, I'm sure.
It gets thinned out, but when the weather's nice and I call it the shoulder seasons, we take over the street sometimes. It's nice.
How did you teach your kids to ride themselves?
I always worry that because of my background and what I do, that they'll, Republicans raise Democrats.
Yeah.
Vice versa. I was worried that, they wouldn't. So I've never made it something that they had to feel like they had to do.
I see.
And, I try not to make it a Bataan Death March. I try not to make it feel like a job or a chore. And they love it. We have pinwheels on it and horns and fun, and we make a game out of it all the time. And so they're just born into the life of riding a bike, and so they don't think about, if you spend,
this is their normal.
Right. If you spend a large amount of your time out of a vehicle, it's not they're not alien to what a vehicle is, but they're very comfortable learning how to ride a bike. So.
And they all do.
Yeah.
At different levels, at different times. So you accept that, and you're flexible with.
Right, and I don't make them. The older kids don't have to ride their bike. One of them's a skateboard fanatic, so he skateboards. He knows how to ride a bike, and we're going to get ready to do another adventure here.
Are you?
And so, the older boys will ride with us.
We'll get to that. What do you consider to be the most important safety lesson that you want your boys to know?
Aside from all the gear that they understand, the helmets and everything else, they know that we're not going to win that game. So you have to ride defensively. You ride as if you're invisible, and you don't ride without a helmet or the lights or everything else. And there's risk in anything.
Yes.
And so they know that too. But they're cautious, and they also know from having gone, the older boys 8,000 miles on bikes, they know the rules of the road, and they know also the defensive rules that aren't written in any, that you're going to lose that game with a car, so don't play it.
They have so many miles on bikes. Probably a lot more than many kids.
Or adults.
I would think that as they're getting near to driving cars, you're pretty confident that that's a pretty easy transition at this point. Not that they might not want to drive.
Well, it's funny. My oldest son, he's and they've seen studies of this, that this generation's not interested as much in driving a car. He has a bus pass to go to Cleveland, and he rides a bike, and he walks everywhere and hikes, and so he hasn't got his permit yet.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying he shouldn't or can't, but
right.
I asked him about it, and he said, I got lots of friends getting their permits.
But with the biking, he is a lot more aware than probably most kids his age are.
He is, and he just knows there's other alternatives out there than just, all he's thinking about is cars and driving.
And that was certainly the case in my generation when we were turning 15 and 16.
Exactly. Us too.
Get behind the wheel. Well, we just got a few minutes left. Why don't you briefly tell us about your planned upcoming adventure?
We're not going to do Canada. We did Canada here and all over the world here. But in this book, there's a lot of Australia and New Zealand. Some trips to Australia and New Zealand. And in my second book, we're going to go, it looks like we're going to try and go back with some magazine articles in the bag to write. And we're going to go back to do New Zealand, Australia, some of Australia, and by God, and I'm getting back. I didn't get to Tasmania last time. My bike's been to Tasmania with a buddy of mine, my original metal cowboy rig, and by God, this time I'm going back on the actual. I'm going to Tasmania, not just my bike.
Good for you.
I try not to be bitter about that, you know. So we're gonna have a rematch.
Okay.
So
good.
go back to Tasmania, and so we'll have the family and just kind of not recreate, but just see what it's like 20 years later. Some of the places I've been in the original books.
Well, your stories are just so awesome. They really are. Then you've got a new book here.
This one's more of a Jeff Foxworthy. You might be a cyclist. You might be a redneck. So you know, you might be a cyclist if you carry more than 10 items in your helmet to go through the checkout counter, or the parents pull their children away when you walk in with your tan to the public pool. You know, it's that kind of real fun stuff. So this is sort of a Christmas holiday graduation gift book. And then the rest of them are narratives, you know, all of these books.
Yes.
And then my new narrative that's coming out is called A Guide to Falling Down in Public. And that one's about all the fragility of life and very similar to Metal Cowboy.
Oh, okay.
I've taken a longer amount of time to finish it because I really wanted it to stand the test of time. You hope your work gets better as you get older.
Yeah.
And then it all goes to black, so.
Well, thanks so much for coming again, Joe. We really
my pleasure.
always enjoy having you, and you know, seriously, if you haven't read Joe's books, you really should. They're really just inspiring and a lot of fun, and just laugh out loud.
Well, that's, you know, you try. The USA Today called one of the books the Mark Twain on Two Wheels, and I say that's slandering a literary titan. But he cannot defend himself, so have at it. You know.
Well, thanks again to Joe Kurmaskie, and he's known as the Metal Cowboy, and we didn't get into that, but you could read his book and find out why.
There you go.
And he's just a lot of fun, and it's a lot of fun to watch you on Facebook and having a fun summer with your kids.
There you go.
So join us on August 24th for Beaverton Banks and Beyond. It's coming up starting here in Beaverton and going out through beautiful North Plains and Banks. Please come join us and get one of these great jerseys that will help make you visible out on the road. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you on August 24th at Beaverton Banks and Beyond Bicycle Tour.
Say that.